You said if we don't have a catastrophe that puts us back to sticks and stones level, do you think we've gone through those cycles before?
That was exactly what I was thinking about at the same time.
I don't know. Science is really interesting because the scientific method is that we need to test and prove something, and various people need to use the scientific method to prove it. So people need to test and learn and make sure. You need like 100 people to make the same test, get the same results. I'm going to go a bit weird here.
Go on.
So
let's get the tinfoil hats ready, boys.
No, that's not tinfoil hat. So, you know the theory of evolution, which seems to be science.
Chuck Darwin.
Chucky Daz.
This is so Australian right here.
Yeah, Chucky Daz. So we look at bones and species and how they evolved and how they changed, and we looked at that. You know, it could be that if all of our technology devices from the very first computers that are as big as this room, and if you had them all buried over the years and they went down from a big giant computer, then a desk-sized computer, then a laptop, then a phone, then a whatever, and they were all buried and they were kind of like, they would almost look like a species. Right? And sometimes I wonder, like, we know that the dinosaurs existed. Now, this is crazy shit, right? I don't believe this, but this is the type of thinking to explore the mind.
Yeah.
What if the dinosaurs in some way had some sort of a power device, you know, that was above, on the top of the earth, like made of metal, and that they were so smart and dexterous, and we don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Imagine if they actually created the mountainsides that we have today and the rivers, and that they had moved things and pushed the mountains up and the caves that they lived in. Like,
we don't know that it's not possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's a paleontologist laughing right now, and
there's
I
more than
want
probably
you to
a
laugh.
paleontologist laughing, I reckon, actually.
Yeah, a lot of people laughing, but
there's a drunken bloke on his couch laughing.
you're right. I don't know how many paleontologists you have, and maybe you need some more. But like,
that's Sasha again.
We know that the dinosaurs were here. We know that their brains were small. I don't know. Maybe they had something else. I mean, they lived, 100 times longer than we've already lived or something?
Yeah, that's right.
What is it? They say that in the clock of history, dinosaurs were an hour ago and we were the last minute.
Yeah. That's right.
I mean, you know, and we've got the bones and we've got the evidence, but there's a lot of things that could have been on top of the earth that the sun, the wind and the rain may have removed that could have been built. I mean, I don't know. Is it a long way to saying, I don't know the answer to your question, which is, have we been here before as a species? I know we've had fallen empires that were quite advanced in their understanding of science, but there isn't any evidence that they built incredible technology as we know it today. But they certainly had, I mean, the pyramids, right?
Well, the pyramids is the most interesting one because the pyramids, the way that they're not currently constructed, the way that they're constructed, we couldn't really replicate that. Like, that would take us... Is it the stat that it would take 700 years if we move 7 blocks per day, which are like 100 ton stones?
I saw a recent documentary. They say that there was more water where they got built. And what they did was when the tide came in the rivers, there was a small layer of water. And blocks even of like a few tons, if you have a few people pushing them on water, they actually gather momentum and that's how they push them. That's the most recent thinking. But of course, 10 years ago, they had a different theory and a different theory.
Well, with the Egyptians, what about the illumination in the pyramids? Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't. You have to tell me
again,
about
so
that.
this is all, bro science, but...
Science, I love bro science. That's actually such a good name, bro science. So it's made up by people drinking beers.
Yeah, that's right. So the illumination that they had in the pyramids, there's no sign of illumination via flame in certain parts of the pyramids that are really, really deep in. Right. And the way that light works with mirrors, you know how mirrors, they used to use mirrors for illumination? So because of the amount of touch points that the mirrors would have to go through, it wouldn't have been able to illuminate the deepest parts of the pyramids. But we don't know how they illuminated those parts of the pyramid. Like, to our science, like to what we believe to be true, we don't know how they did it.
They might have had torches. We don't know.
No, but the torches. So there's signs of torches all through, like, this period of history, and they show signs of whatever elements are in flame. They burn on the wall, and you can scrape them off the wall and go, there was light here, there was torches here.
Maybe
they wouldn't have used torches when you're that deep down. You can't afford to burn the oxygen. That's why they wouldn't have used torches.
But this is what I'm saying. That they were using some technique that we really still are scratching our head going, how the fuck did they light up
Could be
this
something so
passageway?
simple that you've just never ever thought of.
Yeah.
It could be.
Well,
because there's infinite possibilities, right?
That's right. Especially the stuff that you don't think of. Because we're so adapted to, like you said, technology as we know it.
As we know it.
Yeah, as we know it. Like, there could have been a society that had technology as we don't know it.
So that's a little bit, it's really similar to evolution. So chimpanzees, certain few chimpanzees hop out of the tree and cross the savannah, metaphorically. And when they cross the savannah to survive, they need to start eating different things, not just fruits. So they have to kill other species and eat protein. So you get a bit stronger and your jaw gets bigger. And to see across the savannah, you have to stand up. And so you start to get off and get onto your hind legs. And so that's like a fork. And so almost like all of the technology, it comes from that.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we have this as our technology, and we went a certain way when we went with the, you go way back to Turing when they designed the first artificial intelligences and machines. Well, it puts you on a certain trajectory, and you almost can't get off that.
That's right.
That becomes like a path.
Remember Brian Cox's thing about the cones? The cones.
Yeah.
Look how strong that point was. Do you remember what Brian
like
Cox said? Because you better, because this is your exam.
It was basically the cones of influence. So
cones of influence. I love that.
So
I don't know about
space-time cones, essentially.
Right. Yeah. So, but for example,
you're assuming I know what space-time cones. You know
what we're talking about.
You're
Steve.
across it.
So if this is basically, if you have a period, this is places and this is time, right? If you're in this place at this particular time, then you have a cone of influence. That means that you can influence things around you in that nature. So things that are happening over here that are this far out of it, you have no, So the trajectory so the internet happened here, right? And that's its cone of influence. Yeah, so if the internet had have happened back here and had have been slightly different, we'd be dealing with technologies that are over here.
Yeah,
that we know nothing about. That we can have
there you go. See?
Yeah. That's science, bro.
That's science, bro. But I like that. You just need to hold that up so people can see it.
But I tell you what,
no one can see that. You got to hold that up.
I don't really want to show them.
Why not?
There's one problem with that.
Yeah.
There's one problem with that. So this is, I think, coming down to a little bit of the multiverse theory more than anything else, because what you're talking about.
Far here now.
We're our way out of my depth.
Yeah.
Now what you're talking about is you're not going on a fork that you can't come back from, because you're still in that same cone of influence, right? Because you haven't gone faster than the speed of light to leave that cone of influence when you created that particular technology. So you can still go back. It's not coming down to so much the cone of influence. In another universe, yes, it would be too late. So that would be the multiverse theory. I'm sorry, I've gone
too deep here, Prashant. You've gone too deep. Let me get this back on the road. Hey, one thing
I'll just digest that one.
One thing with your straight to the multiverses. So Prashant's first show with us, mate. He's getting a bit excited,
Mate, I like it. I love that you left your glasses on. You got no idea how much I love that.
I know. I can see you looking into it.
I love it. I mean, there's so many reasons. We'll go through